Hey viewers and viewresses, my name is John Red Strategist. Welcome back to Syria Being Hunted. Time for another podcast style episode, I do think, ladies and gentlemen. So last episode was actually kind of fun, wasn't it? I managed to get back onto multiplayer again, since, there's a bunch of randos who were online. Had a bit of a rivalry going with one player. Got my revenge though, didn't I, ladies and gentlemen? Fucking blew him up. Him, he, she, they, whoever they are, I have no idea. But I think I just want to have a chill episode this time around, because later today I've actually got a recording session with Phil and Connor. We're going to be recording some more Sir stuff. We're going to be recording a proper challenge, an interesting one at that, is what I'll say. So keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned here on the channel for whenever that next Sir episode comes out, which obviously will be a few days after when this goes out and all that. But yeah, so I thought I also just wanted to actually record this episode before anything else, because you know me, whenever I do these kind of podcast style episodes, it's usually because there's something on my mind or there's something going on in life which I just think I really want to talk about it and kind of get it off my chest. So I do. And this time around it's a news story which some of you will likely already have been seeing cropping up all over YouTube and possibly elsewhere. Especially if, you like me are someone who enjoys franchises like Ruby, for instance. Now, Ruby, of course, is something that I've talked about on the channel before. I've talked about it loads of times, in fact. There's at least a few episodes of Syria Being Hunted, isn't there? There's about 3 of them, I think, where I talk about Ruby in one form or another. And basically, yeah, so if you're like me and you're a fan of shows like that, you probably will be already able to guess what I might be about to talk about. And so I wanted to kind of talk about this now in this episode, like I said, because obviously this is fairly recent news and it'll probably die down in the coming days, so I want to try and keep, I don't want to be effectively sort of talking about a news story several weeks after the friggin' event and all that. But yes, essentially what I have on my mind is, of course, the big news story of the last week or so, as of when I record. I'll date the video. It's 9th of March as of when I record this at the moment. But yeah, like the big news story, of course, of the last week or so has been the fact that Rooster Teeth, the studio that makes Ruby, as well as a lot of other franchises like Red vs Blue, Camp, stuff like that, they're shutting down, which came as a minor surprise, or a mild surprise I should say, when I first read it. Though, having said that, it's an interesting subject because some people online certainly are commenting saying that they do feel like the writing was kind of on the wall, so to speak, for quite some time for Rooster Teeth. Because the thing is, I mean, I'll admit, I'm not too sort of knowledgeable about it myself. I haven't really read up on it, and I don't really intend to. But from my limited awareness, I am conscious that over the last few years, Rooster Teeth has had things like financial woes, not just due to the COVID pandemic causing disruption, but also just due to maybe management decisions that didn't always go well, or weren't always very good, or sometimes managerial behaviour that didn't always go down well with consumers, things like that. But I'm not going to get too much into that, because like I say, I don't know too much about it. But yeah, so Rooster Teeth is shutting down. Of course, for someone like me who's a Ruby fan, that raises a lot of questions about, what's the future of some of their big franchises that they're doing. Namely Ruby. For myself, that's the one I watch, and that was the one I did a lot of reaction content to over on my Propagandist channel. And Rooster Teeth obviously had a stream on March 7th where they talked a bit about the fact that they're going to be shutting down. And there wasn't really any sort of concrete information, but in essence, they did sort of signal that they kind of don't want this to be the end for some of their franchises, namely things like Ruby and other stuff that people enjoy, particularly because, they had plans for what they wanted to do with, the likes of Ruby going forward. You know, they obviously had Volume 10 that they were still looking to get greenlit. They had this whole Volume 9 Beyond spin-off thing that they were planning to do. And so, you know, people involved in the creation of those things have sort of stated that they still are looking for maybe buyers, people who might buy the IP to some of these and potentially keep them going, or, you know, keep doing stuff with them. Though there's just no real sort of concrete update or news on that front just yet. But yeah, I think it's just, you know, for people who worked for Rooster Teeth and for obviously fans of Rooster Teeth shows, things like that, it is just a big sort of period of uncertainty at the moment in terms of, you know, how are things going to play out? What's the future holding? Things like that. And certainly, you know, you will probably, I mean, if you watch any Rooster Teeth content, you'll probably see on your YouTube recommendations an absolute ton of people who've made videos about the fact that Rooster Teeth is shutting down, discussion videos, things like that. And I will admit, yours truly here, he hasn't exactly stepped away from doing that. I did release a video of that kind myself over on my Propagandist channel. And admittedly, it wasn't a very long video. It's only about 7 or 8 minutes. But I just felt like I kind of wanted to acknowledge it. Acknowledge what was going on, since I am someone who likes Ruby a lot. And it would be one of those things which people probably would be like, you know, Red, what's your kind of take on this? As someone who watches a lot of Ruby, enjoys it, etc, etc. So I did give my thoughts, just in brief, and, you know, there's not really much different to what I've said here in that video. I included a few clips from the RT stream where they talked about, you know, shows like Ruby, things like that. So if you want to see those, go and nosy on over to my Propagandist channel, whatever else have you. But I think for a lot of viewers, obviously on YouTube and other places, it is just, it's sad, obviously overall, because there's a lot of people, you know, for example, stateside and elsewhere who, you know, throughout their teenage years grew up on Rooster Teeth content, things like that. And so it is, like I say, it's always unfortunate when things that you remember from your younger years kind of die out. But, you know, nothing lasts forever and all that. Eventually, things do kind of reach kind of a point where they do come to an end. And there's not a lot you can sort of do about that, but, well, you know, like I say, hopefully IPs like Ruby and whatever else have you, hopefully they will go on to sort of new homes. They'll get new owners, or, you know, things will be done with them to keep them going, because, like I say, it would be a shame to see things like Ruby die at this point, especially because something like Ruby, there's a lot of plot points that have not yet been resolved. Where the fuck are you two going? You're sort of milling around awkwardly. You going off in that direction? Yeah, okay, yes you are, that's good. Because, yeah, the thing about, obviously, Ruby, Volume 9 was aired in April 2023, and I did my whole reaction series to it, and that's not just me trying to self-promote quite shamelessly. But, of course, you know, Volume 9 didn't wrap up any of the plot. Well, there's still a lot of plot points that Volume 9 didn't wrap up. Because I think with Ruby, the original plan back in the day, years and years ago, when it first started, when, of course, Monty Ohm, or, sorry, I may have probably mispronounced his name, Monty Ohm, or Monty Ohm, when he was still alive, you know, he probably, as far as I'm aware, I think his intention was that Ruby would go for about 12 seasons, or 12 volumes, as it's technically called. Of course, you know, they're up to Volume 9, but of course there's all that uncertainty about whether Volume 10 will get greenlit or not. And that's, you know, I suppose kind of like a deeper issue with if you're, you know, producing any sort of entertainment media, whether it's a video game series, a TV series, an anime, a series of movies, whatever it is you're trying to create. Because obviously those things take time to produce. And of course, you've got to obviously hope and try and keep interest in those as high as you can during the production processes. And I think it's natural, you know, that over time, interest in something will, to a degree, wane away. There'll always be a bit of a drop-off. I mean, if you want an example of that, just think of you know, your favourite gaming YouTubers and the series that they do. Usually like the first couple of episodes of a series will always have really high views, but then after that the views will start to taper off. And it's the same really here on the General Red Strategist channel as well. I mean, you look at a lot of my series, like the first episode of a new series is always the one that generates the most views, the most clicks. And then from that point on, view counts tend to fluctuate, but on average they go down. Except for certain series of mine here on the channel where it's like the first episode will get a load of views, then, you know, most of the other episodes will be middling, but there'll be that one episode somewhere in the middle of the series which suddenly will do strangely well. I'm looking at my Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach playthrough in particular here. It's like episode 1 of that did alright, decent amount of views. And then of course it slackened off a bit. Episode 4, however, has friggin' nearly 1,000 views as of when I checked recently, something like 800 or 900. But having said that, that's probably because it's got Roxanne Wolf in the title and Roxanne Wolf in the thumbnail, and I have a feeling that might well be pulling in the furry crowd. Just to make a joke about that, ladies and gentlemen, because I can. But yes. But yeah, essentially, you know, the point is, getting back to the subject, Rooster Teeth, Ruby, things like that. You know, things don't last forever, and the challenge with, you know, big shows like that is always keeping the interest, especially once, you know, your franchise is getting to be several years old and has already been through several seasons or whatever. It's always tricky. And it's not impossible to keep interest in something, you know, with clever marketing, things like that. You can very much keep people's interest. But like I say, yeah, it's always very, very challenging, and you just got to do what you can do if you're sort of involved in any sort of marketing for franchises, series, whatever it is you're making or whatever. God damn, that guy's already turned around, he's heading back. That's not what I want.
What?
Wish that alarm clock would go off very soon, thank you. Please. Please go off. I've kind of used up all my bottles. Keep my axe at the ready. I'm going to whack you if you come too close to me, buddy. Oh, look at that. It's like you heard. Off you go, guys. Go and investigate that sound. Whilst I take this. Off your hands. Cheers. Lovely. Great stuff. But yeah, that's the topic of conversation, really, that I just wanted to talk about in this episode. Because why the hell not? Like I say, or rather, like I've said before, in Surrey Being Hunted, just whenever I get something on my brain that I really want to talk about, it's like I have to just record a podcast-style episode of Sir, get it off my chest and all that, but there you go. Right, well, I don't think there's really anything else for me to talk about. Get off my face. Curious. Yeah, so not much else for me to talk about other than that. I've kind of exhausted the topic of conversation now, so I'm probably going to wrap up. And also, just looking at time, I probably need to get setting up for my recording session with Phil and Connor. We're going to do some Sir. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. We're going to do some Lethal Company, hopefully. Get another episode of that out, since that first episode that we did of it went down reasonably well. So hope you'll keep your eyes peeled for that bit of bonus content here on the channel. In the meantime, Facebook and Twitter links obviously are down below as usual, along with a link to my Propagandist channel for anyone interested. I think I just fluffed my lines a bit there. But other than that, this is General Red signing off. Goodbye, everybody. Oh god. Okay, right, let's just head down. Oh god, do I need to crouch? I do. Oh great, health! Oh thank god. Oh no, 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 go down, go down, go down! Oof. Oh, fuck you. Oh no, 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 no. How many fire zombies are there? There's about 4 of them. Are you fucking serious? What is that bullshit? Seriously? Oh no, and I didn't quick save after. Ah! No. Oh god.